Captain L stared at the blue planet on his display screen and made a decision that would change everything. For 3 months, his scout ship had been mapping empty sectors of space, finding nothing but rocks and dust. The work was boring. His crew was restless. And right there, just a small detour away, sat Earth, the forbidden world. "We shouldn't do this," said his second officer. She was checking the Galactic Council's database one more time. "Earth is marked red, complete quarantine. No contact allowed until they develop faster-than-light travel on their own." El waved his hand dismissively. "We're not making contact, we're just looking. One quick pass, full stealth mode, and we'll be gone. The Council will never know." The other 4 crew members exchanged glances. They were all thinking the same thing. After months in the darkness of space, the chance to see something interesting was too tempting to ignore, even if it broke the rules. "Engaging cloak," El announced. "Take us in." Their ship, sleek and silver, shimmered and vanished from sight. The cloaking technology was perfect. Humans wouldn't be able to detect them with their primitive radar and satellites. This would be easy. But El was wrong. Thousands of miles below, in a research station buried in the ice of Antarctica, Doctor was having trouble sleeping. It was his 3rd month at the station, and the endless darkness of winter was getting to him. He decided to check on his equipment instead of lying awake in bed. Was a radio astronomer. His job was to listen to signals from space, searching for patterns that might indicate intelligent life. Tonight, his computers were showing something strange. "That's odd," he muttered, adjusting his glasses. The readings made no sense. There was a massive energy signature moving through the atmosphere, but it wasn't any satellite he knew. It wasn't a meteor either. The pattern was too controlled, too deliberate. He called Park, the other astronomer on duty. She arrived in minutes, her hair messy from sleep. "Look at this," said, pointing at the screen. "Something's descending through the atmosphere. The energy output is enormous, but there's nothing visible on any optical sensors." Leaned closer, her eyes widening. "That's impossible. Nothing we've built can do this. The heat signature alone should make it glow like a star, but there's nothing on camera." They watched the signal together, tracking it as it moved across Asia. Then something unexpected happened. The smooth descent became erratic. The energy reading spiked wildly. "It's losing control," whispered. Aboard the scout ship, alarms screamed. El gripped his command chair as the vessel shook violently. "What's happening?" he shouted over the noise. "Unknown interference," yelled back, her fingers flying over her console. "The ship systems are experiencing cascade failures. Something in the atmosphere is disrupting our quantum core." "Impossible. Our technology is centuries beyond anything on this planet." "I don't care what it should be. We're going down." The ship plummeted through the sky, its cloak flickering on and off. El fought with the controls, trying to find somewhere remote to crash. The mountains of the Korean peninsula appeared below them, covered in snow and forest. "Brace for impact," he ordered. The ship slammed into a valley with tremendous force, carving a deep trench through the frozen ground. Trees exploded into splinters. Snow and dirt flew everywhere. Then, finally, everything was still. El groaned and checked his crew. Everyone was alive, though badly shaken. The ship, however, was in terrible shape. Cracks ran along the hull. Warning lights flashed everywhere. "Damage report," he said, tasting blood in his mouth. Worked her console with trembling hands. "Main engines offline. Quantum drive is damaged. Communications array is completely destroyed. Captain, we can't even send a distress signal." "How long to repair?" "Days, maybe weeks. We need parts we don't have." El felt cold fear settle in his stomach. They had broken protocol, crashed on a restricted planet, and now they couldn't even call for help. If the Council found out, his career was over. If humans found them first, everything could be worse. "Seal the ship," he ordered. "No one goes outside. We fix this quietly and leave before anyone knows we were here." But it was already too late. Had been hiking alone in the mountains when he heard the thunderous crash. He was a local guide who knew these valleys better than anyone. At first, he thought it was an avalanche, but avalanches didn't leave burning trenches through the forest. Curious and cautious, followed the path of destruction. His heart pounded as he climbed over fallen trees and pushed through smoking brush. Then he saw it. The ship sat in the center of the valley, partially buried in the torn earth. It was like nothing had ever seen. The metal was strange, reflecting light in ways that hurt his eyes. Symbols covered the hull, glowing faintly. Crouched behind a boulder, his mind racing. He should run. He should call someone, but his feet wouldn't move. This was real. This was actually real. He pulled out his phone with shaking hands. No signal. The mountains always had poor reception, but he had the emergency satellite phone in his backpack for situations like this. He took photos first, hands trembling. Then he made the call. "It's remember me. You gave that lecture in Seoul last year." He paused, trying to keep his voice steady. "You're not going to believe what I just found." 2 days later and stood in the same valley, staring at the impossible ship. They had traveled in secret, telling no one but each other. Had waited for them, camping in the cold. "We were right," breathed. "The energy signature we tracked, it crashed here." "Should we try to make contact?" asked. Before anyone could answer, a door in the ship's hull hissed open. The three humans froze. A figure appeared in the doorway, tall, thin, with skin that shimmered like oil on water. It wore a uniform of some kind. Its large eyes studied them with clear intelligence. El stood in the doorway, knowing his decision to hide had just become impossible. The humans had found them. Now everything would change. He raised one hand slowly. Hopping, the gesture was universal. The tallest human, the one with the camera, slowly raised his hand in return. First contact had begun, and neither side knew what would happen next. But one thing was certain: the crew couldn't leave. Not yet, maybe not ever. The first words exchanged between humans and aliens happened through a tablet computer. El's crew had quickly adapted their translation software to process the Korean and English languages. Within hours, basic communication was possible. "You were not supposed to find us," El said through the translated device. His voice sounded strange, like wind through metal pipes. "We will repair our vessel and depart. You must tell no one we were here." Looked at, then at. They all understood what this meant. The discovery of alien life was the biggest event in human history, but the alien captain was asking them to keep it secret. "How long will repairs take?" asked carefully. 3 days, perhaps 4, answered from behind her captain. "Our systems are more resilient than anything on your world. The damage is minimal." But 3 days turned into a week, then 2 weeks, and the aliens grew increasingly frustrated and afraid. And had set up a small camp near the crash site. Came and went, bringing supplies and keeping curious locals away with stories about military exercises. The 3 humans watched as they worked desperately on their ship. "Something's wrong," observed one cold morning. "Look at them, they're scared." She was right. The aliens' movements had become frantic. Arguments broke out among the crew, and El looked older somehow, more tired. Finally, on the 15th day, El called the humans together. His large eyes seemed dimmer than before. "We have a problem," he admitted. "A serious problem. We cannot leave your planet." "What do you mean?" asked. "Is the ship too damaged?" "The ship is repaired," said bitterly. "We have tested every system. Everything works perfectly. But when we attempt to activate the launch sequence, the quantum drive fails. Every single time." "I don't understand," said. "What's stopping you?" El gestured for them to follow him into the ship. The interior was amazing. Smooth walls that glowed softly, displays showing symbols none of them could read, and a strange humming sound that seemed to come from everywhere at once. He led them to a console where streams of data flowed across screens. Even without understanding the language, the humans could see the same pattern repeating over and over. Something was blocking the ship's systems. "Your planet is unusual," El explained. "We have visited thousands of worlds across the galaxy. None of them have what Earth has." "What's that?" asked, leaning forward. "We call it probabilistic resonance," said. "Your planet is saturated with quantum noise. It interferes with our faster-than-light drive systems. If we try to launch, the quantum core will overload and explode." Scientific mind raced. "Quantum noise from what source?" El looked at him steadily. "From you, from all humans." "That's impossible," protested. "We thought so too," another crew member said. His name was Tor and he was the ship's scientist. "But our instruments don't lie. Human brains generate quantum frequencies that no other known species produces. 8 billion of you, all thinking, all dreaming, all creating chaos. It forms a field around your entire planet." "And this field traps you here?" asked. "Yes, our technology is incompatible with it. We can exist on your planet, but we cannot leave it, not without dying in the attempt." A heavy silence filled the ship. The three humans looked at each other, understanding the terrible situation. These aliens had broken their own rules to visit Earth, and now Earth itself was holding them prisoner. "Did you know this could happen?" asked quietly. "No," El said with what might have been shame. "Earth is quarantined for cultural reasons, not scientific ones. The Galactic Council knew your species wasn't ready for contact, but they never told us about this quantum property. Maybe they didn't know. Maybe they did, and that's another reason Earth is forbidden." "So what do we do?" asked. Before anyone could answer, satellite phone rang. He answered it, his face growing pale as he listened. "We have another problem," he said when he hung up. "That was Song. He's a government liaison, I know. Someone reported strange activity in these mountains. The military is sending people to investigate. They'll be here tomorrow." El's expression, alien as it was, clearly showed fear. "If your governments learn we are here, there will be chaos," finished. "But we can't hide you forever. This is bigger than the four of us." That night, the three humans argued quietly around their campfire, while the aliens remained in their ship. "We have to tell someone," insisted. "This is first contact. It affects everyone on Earth." "But what if our governments try to weaponize their technology?" countered. "Or what if they panic and try to destroy the ship?" "We need help," said firmly. "We're way out of our depth here. These aliens are trapped and we don't have the resources to help them. We need scientists, engineers, people smarter than us." "Is already suspicious," admitted. "He asked specific questions about energy readings and why I'm spending so much time up here. I don't think I can put him off much longer." Inside the ship, they faced their own crisis. Pulled Elle aside, her voice low and urgent. "Captain, it's worse than we thought. I've been monitoring our neural patterns. The longer we stay on this planet, the more our brain activity is synchronizing with the human frequency. In a few weeks, we might not be able to operate our own technology at all." El felt true fear for the first time in his life. "Are you certain?" "Look at Tor, he laughed yesterday." Laughed. "We don't have that emotional response. But after 2 weeks exposed to human consciousness patterns, he's developing it. We're being changed by this planet. Then we need to take risks. Try to launch anyway, even if it might destroy us. And if we fail, we die. If we succeed, we abandon our mission and our honor. Either way, we've lost." The next morning, as the sun rose over the mountains, 3 vehicles appeared on the rough mountain road. Government officials had arrived. Song stepped out first, his trained eyes immediately finding the damaged forest and the strange ship that sat in the valley. He looked then at the 2 scientists, then at the ship. Slowly, he pulled out his phone. "I need to make a call," he said calmly. "A very important call. Because if I'm seeing what I think I'm seeing, everything is about to change. L watched from the ship's sensors as more humans arrived. His crew looked to him for orders, but he had none to give. They were trapped on a primitive world, slowly becoming more like the creatures who imprisoned them, and now their secret was revealed. The situation had gone from bad to catastrophic, and somewhere in space, the Galactic Council continued their work, unaware that one of their scout ships had vanished on a forbidden planet. The meeting room in Seoul was tense. Government officials, scientists, and military personnel sat around a long table, all staring at the holographic display that had set up. It showed Earth wrapped in layers of shimmering energy that no human instrument had ever detected. "This is your planet," explained through the translator. "Not as you see it, but as it truly is. Every human mind generates quantum fluctuations. When billions of you exist together, these fluctuations create a field. This field makes your world unique in the known galaxy." Dr. Lee from Seoul National University leaned forward, her eyes bright with fascination. She was a neuroscientist, brought in specifically to help understand this phenomenon. "Are you saying human consciousness has a measurable quantum effect?" she asked. "More than measurable," Tor replied. He was the scientist, and despite his fear, he couldn't hide his excitement about the discovery. Human thoughts exist in multiple probability states simultaneously. You imagine, dream, create, and destroy ideas in constant chaos. Other species in the galaxy think in more linear, structured patterns. "Other species," Song interrupted. He was trying to stay calm, but his hands shook slightly. "How many other species are we talking about?" "The Galactic Council includes representatives from 47 civilizations," L said, "and we have records of hundreds more, but none of them have consciousness like yours." Pulled out her laptop and began typing rapidly. "This explains so much. Quantum theories of consciousness have existed for decades, but we could never prove them. We were looking at individual brains. We never thought to measure the collective effect." "Can you help us?" L asked directly. "Can you find a way to shield our ship from this field so we can leave?" Looked at him seriously. "I don't know, but I'll try." Over the next week, a strange collaboration began. The government had decided to keep the alien presence secret for now, limiting knowledge to a small group. They moved the ship to a secure underground facility, working at night to avoid satellite detection. A young engineer joined the team. He was brilliant with material science and had immediately seen a possible solution. "What if we build a Faraday cage?" he suggested during one brainstorming session. "But instead of blocking electromagnetic radiation, we design it to block quantum frequencies." "Using what materials?" asked skeptically. "Earth materials. Substances that have evolved in this quantum field for billions of years. They might naturally resist the frequencies that damage your systems." It was a clever idea, and they spent days testing different materials. Lead, copper, special alloys. Some showed promise, but none worked well enough. Meanwhile, made a disturbing discovery. She had been monitoring the brain activity of the crew members, comparing their neural patterns to human baseline readings. "Look at this," she told privately, showing him her data. "When they first arrived, their brain activity was completely different from ours, regular, predictable, structured. But after 3 weeks on Earth, it's changing. See these irregular spikes? That's human-style quantum noise. They're becoming more like us." "Is that dangerous for them?" "I don't know, but Captain L told me that 2 of his crew members started showing emotions they've never had before. One of them laughed. Another one cried while watching a sunset. These aren't normal behaviors for their species." Felt a chill. They're being infected by human consciousness. Not infected, transformed. The quantum field isn't just blocking their technology, it's rewriting their neural pathways. This information created a new urgency. If the transformation continued, They might lose their ability to operate their own ship entirely. They had weeks, maybe just days, before the change became permanent. Jin Bei arrived from Switzerland on an emergency flight. He was a Korean-American physicist working at CERN, the famous particle physics laboratory, had contacted him because of his work with quantum mechanics. When Jin saw the data, he went pale. "I've been studying something like this," he said slowly. "We detected unusual quantum fluctuations in our collision experiments, patterns that appeared and disappeared with no explanation. We thought it was equipment error, but what if we were detecting the edge of Earth's consciousness field?" "Can your research help?" Elle asked desperately. Jin thought for a long moment. "Maybe, but you won't like the answer." He pulled up his own data, showing it alongside the measurements. The field isn't uniform. It's stronger in some places than others. Cities with millions of people create dense spots. Remote areas with few humans are weaker. "So if we launch from a remote area," began. "It won't work," Jin interrupted. "The field extends into the upper atmosphere. You'd need to get past it entirely before activating your quantum drive. And based on these readings, that's impossible with your current power levels." "Then what are you suggesting?" Elle demanded. Jin hesitated. "There might be a way, but it requires adding a human element to your ship's systems. Someone whose natural quantum frequency matches the field. They would act as a buffer, allowing your technology to function despite the interference." "A human crew member," said softly. "It's insane," protested. "Our life support systems aren't designed for humans. The radiation from our quantum drive would be harmful, and even if it worked, that person could never return to Earth. The transition back would destroy their neural pathways." "It's a one-way trip," confirmed, checking her calculations. "Whoever goes would be giving up everything. Their home, their family, their entire world." Silence fell over the room. Everyone understood what this meant. To save 6 aliens who had broken their own rules, a human would have to sacrifice everything. "I'll do it," said suddenly. Everyone turned to look at him. He stood near the back of the room, having been quiet for most of the technical discussions. "I'm serious," he continued. "I've spent more time with the crew than anyone else. I've been in their ship for hours every day. If anyone's already partially synchronized to their frequency, it's me." Quickly ran her scanner over him and her eyes widened. "He's right. His neural patterns show clear signs of quantum synchronization, more than anyone else here. How do you feel?" "Different," admitted. "I've been having strange thoughts, seeing patterns in things I never noticed before, feeling emotions more intensely. I thought it was stress, but it's the field, isn't it? I'm already changing." Before anyone could respond, alarms blared throughout the facility. Grabbed his phone, listened, then looked up with fear. "We have a problem. A big problem. The Galactic Council has detected anomalies in this sector. They're sending a retrieval fleet, and according to the message we just intercepted, they're authorized to use extreme measures." "What kind of measures?" asked, though he already feared the answer. Elle translated the coded message, his voice hollow. "If they find their scout ship on Earth, if they confirm that Earth's quantum field poses a threat to their technology, they are authorized to eliminate the threat. Which means they'll destroy Earth," finished, her voice barely a whisper. The room erupted into chaos, but through it all, stood calm, his partially transformed mind already understanding what needed to be done. They had days, maybe hours, before the fleet arrived, and the only chance to save both the aliens and humanity was about to require the biggest sacrifice any human had ever made. The Galactic Council fleet would arrive in 72 hours. That's how long Elle estimated Earth had before first contact became an extinction event. "We need to tell the world," argued. The small team had gathered in the secure facility's command center. Outside, armed guards protected the secret that could change everything. Every government, every person, they deserve to know. and cause global panic, countered. He looked exhausted, having spent the last 2 days coordinating with his superiors. We'd have riots, chaos. It would make everything worse. He's right, said reluctantly. We need a solution first, then disclosure, in that order. Hadn't spoken since offering to join the crew. He sat apart from the others, staring at his hands, approached him quietly. Are you sure about this? She asked. Once the neural synchronization is complete, you won't be fully human anymore. You'll think differently, feel differently, and you can never come back. I've been thinking about that, said. For the past week I've felt my mind changing. At first it scared me, but now I understand what's happening. I'm not losing my humanity, I'm expanding it, seeing things the way they do while still being me. That's the synchronization talking, warned. The quantum field is literally rewriting your brain. I know, and it's beautiful, smiled, but there was something different about his expression now, something that wasn't quite human. I've seen mathematics in the patterns of falling snow. I've felt emotions that don't have names in any language. Last night I dreamed in colors that don't exist. I'm becoming something new. Maybe that's not a bad thing. Felt tears in her eyes. Your family, have you told them? I don't have much family left. My parents died years ago. No wife, no children. Maybe that's why I was the right choice. Less to lose. Or more to gain, Elle said, approaching them. The alien captain had been listening. In our culture, transformation is considered the highest honor. You are evolving before our eyes. That is sacred. Can we make this work? Asked. Can I really be the bridge that lets you leave? Jin and have been working on the modifications, Elle replied. They're brilliant, both of them. If anyone can build the interface between human consciousness and technology, it's them. In the engineering bay, Jin and were surrounded by tools, cables, and alien equipment that glowed with strange light. They had been working non-stop for 36 hours. This is insane, muttered, soldering a connection between a human neural interface and the ship's quantum drive. We're combining technologies that shouldn't even be compatible. That's exactly why it might work, Jin replied, checking his calculations for the 100th time. The incompatibility is the whole problem. By adding a human element that naturally exists in the quantum field, we create a bridge. Consciousness will translate the field's chaos into something the ship can process. And if we're wrong, then the quantum drive overloads during launch, and everyone on board dies instantly. No pressure. They worked in silence for a while, then said quietly, I've been thinking about volunteering too, going with them, seeing the galaxy. Jin looked at him in surprise. You're young, you have your whole life ahead of you. Exactly, and what better way to live it than exploring the universe? Besides, someone should go with, make sure he's not alone out there. The interface only supports one human, Jin said gently. Adding more would destabilize the entire system, has to go alone. Meanwhile, in a conference room, was explaining the situation to government officials who had just been cleared to know the full truth. Your planet is a quantum fortress, she said bluntly. The Council fleet can't land here without experiencing the same problems we did, but they can destroy Earth from orbit. One concentrated particle beam and your entire civilization ends. Can we fight back? A general asked. With what? Replied. Your most advanced weapons are chemical rockets and atomic bombs. The Council has technology thousands of years beyond that. You'd be fighting with stones and sticks. Then we're helpless, the general said, defeated. Maybe not, Tor interjected. He'd been studying human consciousness more deeply than anyone else. I have a theory. It might be crazy, but all of this is crazy. Everyone waited. The quantum field isn't random, Tor explained. It responds to collective human thought. When millions of people focus on the same thing, a sporting event, a natural disaster, a global crisis, the field intensifies in specific ways. What if humanity could weaponize that? Not with aggression, but with focus. You're suggesting we think our way out of this, said incredulously. More than think, feel, imagine, believe, all together all at once. 8 billion minds focused on survival. The quantum field would become exponentially more powerful. It might create a barrier the Council fleet couldn't penetrate without destroying themselves. That's impossible to coordinate, someone protested. Is it? Said his scientific mind racing. We have global communication now. Internet, television, radio. We could reach billions of people in hours. If we could make them understand the threat, make them feel the danger, their collective consciousness might protect us naturally. It's never been tested, warned. Nothing about this situation has been tested, countered. We're making history with every decision. Young Han had arrived 2 hours earlier. He was a retired astronomer, diagnosed with terminal cancer 6 months ago. The doctors gave him 3 months to live, but he'd already outlasted their predictions. When he heard about's offer to join the aliens, he went straight to the facility. Let me go instead, Young told Elle. I'm dying anyway. Why should a healthy young man sacrifice his life? It doesn't work that way, explained gently. The neural synchronization takes time, has been exposed to for weeks. His brain has already started adapting. You'd need months of exposure and we don't have months. Then let me help some other way, Young insisted. I've spent my entire life searching for proof that we're not alone in the universe. Now that proof is here and I want to be useful. Elle looked at the old man with respect. Your species has such courage. We are cautious by nature. We follow rules, avoid risks, but you humans charge forward into the unknown. Maybe that's why your consciousness is so chaotic. You're not afraid to change. We're terrified to change, Young corrected with a weak smile. We just do it anyway. As the hours ticked down, the team finalized their desperate plan. Would undergo the full neural integration, connecting his consciousness directly to the ship's quantum drive. The modifications would take 18 hours. Then they'd have one chance to launch before the Council fleet arrived. Meanwhile, and prepared to make a broadcast, they'd tell the world everything, the aliens, the threat, and what humanity needed to do. It was risky. People might panic. Governments might fight over control. But there was no other choice. What do we tell them? Asked, staring at the camera that would transmit their message globally. The truth, said simply, that we're not alone, that we're in danger, and that the only weapon we have is ourselves, our thoughts, our will to survive. In the medical bay, lay on a table while attached neural sensors to his head. The device that Jin and Had built sat nearby, glowing with both human and alien technology merged into something entirely new. Last chance to back out, said softly. I'm not backing out, replied. His eyes had changed color slightly, a side effect of the synchronization. I'm going forward, into something bigger than I ever imagined. When you leave Earth, you'll be the first human to see the galaxy. What will you tell them about us? Thought about that. I'll tell them that humans are chaos given form. We're impossible and beautiful and terrifying. We're everything they're not, and that's exactly why we matter. The countdown began. In 72 hours, the Council fleet would arrive. Before then, a transformed human and 6 desperate aliens would attempt to escape Earth's quantum cage. And if they failed, 8 billion people would have to defend themselves with nothing but the power of their collective minds. Everything had led to this moment, and nobody knew if any of it would work. The broadcast went live at midnight Seoul time. His face appeared on screens across the world, interrupting regular programming. Behind him, the ship sat gleaming under facility lights. My name is Doctor, he began, his voice steady despite his fear. What I'm about to tell you will sound like science fiction, but it's real. 3 weeks ago, an alien spacecraft crashed in the mountains of Korea. He paused, letting that sink in. Around the world, billions of people stopped what they were doing. The crew survived. We've been working with them in secret. They come from a civilization far more advanced than ours, and they've taught us something incredible about Earth, about us. Took over, showing the holographic images of Earth's quantum field. Every human being generates a unique type of consciousness. When all of us exist together, we create something unprecedented in the galaxy, a field of pure quantum energy that protects our planet. But now we face a crisis, continued. The aliens' government is sending ships to investigate. They view Earth's quantum field as a threat. They're authorized to destroy our planet to eliminate that threat. They'll arrive in less than 48 hours. Images flashed on screens worldwide. The alien crew, the ship, the scientific data, everything. We can't fight them with weapons, said. They're too advanced, but we have something they don't, our consciousness, our ability to think, dream, and imagine together. We need everyone, urged. In 2 days, at the exact time we specify, we need every person on Earth to focus. Think about survival, about protecting our home, about humanity's right to exist. Your thoughts matter. Your consciousness has power. Together, we can create a barrier that even the most advanced civilization in the galaxy cannot break. We know this sounds impossible, added. But everything about this situation is impossible. We're asking you to believe in something invisible, to trust that your mind, connected with billions of others, can save our world. The broadcast ended with coordinates and a precise time, the moment the Council fleet would arrive in Earth's orbit. Reactions came instantly. Some people panicked. Others refused to believe. Religious leaders called it a test of faith. Scientists debated the physics. Governments scrambled to verify the information. But slowly something remarkable happened. People started talking, sharing the information, making plans to participate. Whether they believed in quantum consciousness or not, they understood one thing clearly. If there was even a chance this could work, they had to try. In the facility, neural integration was complete. He sat up slowly, and everyone who saw him knew immediately that he'd changed. His eyes held depths that hadn't been there before. He moved with a grace that seemed almost alien. "How do you feel?" asked nervously. "Like I'm standing in 2 places at once," replied. His voice had harmonics now, echoes of something beyond human. "I can feel the ship. Its systems are part of me now. And I can feel Earth's field. It's beautiful, like music that never ends." Elle approached him cautiously. "Are you ready to attempt the launch?" "We should wait," said, "until the fleet arrives, until humanity focuses its will. That's when we'll have the best chance." "Why?" asked. "Because I'm part of the field now, and I can feel it responding to human emotion. Right now, it's chaotic because people are confused and scared. But when they unite, when billions of minds focus on the same purpose, the field will stabilize. It'll become a weapon and a shield at the same time." Jin was monitoring the quantum readings. "He's right. The field is fluctuating wildly as news spreads, but I'm detecting patterns forming, like humanity is learning to breathe together." The hours passed. Around the world, people prepared. They gathered in homes, in streets, in churches and temples and mosques. They posted online, encouraging each other. Some meditated. Others prayed. Many simply waited, willing to try anything to protect their planet. Young Han spent those hours talking with the crew, recording everything they told him about the galaxy. He wanted humanity to have that knowledge, even if the worst happened. "There are wonders out there you can't imagine," Tor told him. "Planets where crystal forests sing, stars that think, oceans of liquid light. The universe is far stranger and more beautiful than you know." "Will we ever see it?" Young asked. "If you survive this, yes. The Council won't be able to ignore you anymore. Earth will join the galaxy, one way or another." Finally, the moment arrived. The Council fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of Earth's solar system. 5 massive warships, each one carrying enough firepower to crack a planet. Their commander, a being named, studied the data his sensors collected. The quantum field readings made no sense. They showed Earth wrapped in layers of energy that pulsed and shifted like a living thing. "Send the first probe," he ordered. A small drone launched toward Earth, accelerating rapidly. But as it entered the outer atmosphere, its systems began failing. The quantum interference was even stronger than the reports had indicated. "Fascinating," mused. "Recall the probe, prepare the particle weapons, we'll sterilize from orbit." But then something changed. At the exact time and had 8 billion people focus their thoughts. They weren't trained. They didn't know exactly what to do. They simply thought about survival, about protecting their home, about humanity's right to exist. And Earth's quantum field exploded with power. Jin watched the readings in awe. "It's working. The field intensity just increased 10,000%, 20,000, it's still growing." On the ship, gasped as he felt the surge flow through him. The collective will of humanity washed over his consciousness like a wave. Fear, hope, determination, love, all mixing into something that transcended individual thought. "Now," he said to El, "we can launch now." The ship powered up. The quantum drive, normally incompatible with Earth's field, hummed smoothly. Integrated consciousness acted as the perfect bridge, translating the chaos into harmony. In orbit, watched in shock as a small ship rose from Earth's surface. It shouldn't be possible. The quantum interference should have torn it apart, but it flew smoothly through the atmosphere, shielded by something his sensors couldn't properly analyze. "That's our scout ship," his tactical officer reported. "Captain L's vessel, the one that went missing." "Hail them," ordered. L's face appeared on the screen. Behind him could see his crew and something else. A human, connected to the ship systems through technology that shouldn't exist. "Commander," L said formally, "I am returning to report a violation of protocol. I illegally entered Earth's quarantine zone. My ship crashed, and in the process I discovered why Earth is truly forbidden." "Explain," demanded. "Human consciousness is incompatible with our technology, but it's not a weakness. It's a defense mechanism. This planet cannot be invaded, cannot be conquered, cannot be destroyed. The quantum field protects it. And now that humanity knows about us, knows their power, that field is under conscious control." As if to demonstrate, the quantum field pulsed. The Council ships detected the surge and automatically backed away. Their defensive systems recognized a threat they couldn't quantify. "You're telling me this primitive world can defend itself against the Council?" said incredulously. "I'm telling you that this world isn't primitive," El replied. "It's evolved, different from anything we've encountered, and the human integrated into my ship proves that our species can coexist, can learn from each other." Stepped forward, his human yet not quite human face calm. I was born on Earth, but now I exist between worlds. I speak for both humanity and I tell you this, Earth wants peace, but will defend itself if necessary. You cannot destroy what you cannot touch." Consulted with his officers. They ran simulations. Every scenario that involved attacking Earth ended in failure. The quantum field would destroy their ships before weapons could be fired. And now that it was focused, controlled by collective human will, it was impenetrable. "This is unprecedented," finally said. "I must consult with the Council." "Do that," replied. "We'll be waiting." The Council fleet to a safe distance. On Earth, people felt the field diminish as the threat passed. They weren't sure what had happened, but they knew they'd done something important together. In the following weeks, negotiations began. The Galactic Council couldn't ignore Earth anymore. They couldn't conquer it, couldn't quarantine it, couldn't threaten it. So they did the only thing left: they accepted it. Earth received protected status, not because humans were weak, but because they were too dangerous to provoke. The quantum field made invasion impossible. The chaotic, creative, unpredictable nature of human consciousness was a natural fortress. L's crew chose to become ambassadors. They would stay near Earth, teaching humans about the galaxy while learning about the strange, beautiful chaos of human thought. Remained with them the bridge between worlds. He was no longer fully human, but he hadn't lost his humanity. He'd expanded it, and every day he sent messages back to Earth, describing wonders that awaited among the stars. Pointed her telescope upward one night, months after first contact, stood beside her. "We did it," she said softly. "We proved we're not alone, and we proved we belong out there." "We always belonged," replied. "We just had to realize that what makes us different, our chaos, our emotions, our impossible creativity, is exactly what makes us strong." Above them, the stars waited, and for the first time in human history, humanity knew they could reach them, not despite their nature, but because of it. The age of human isolation was over. The age of human expansion had begun, and the galaxy would never be the same.